we started. Okay, so this is Comrade Gabriel from PPR. I am with my comrade Max from
CPGB-ML,
which is Communist Party of Great Britain, Marxist-Leninist.
good memory.
Okay. So now, my first question is, how did you come to political life?
Right, so it started about 4 years ago. I was near the end of my PhD, and I had, this is a long story, separate story, but I had troubles at my university, and I ended up in the summer on my sofa with YouTube in a bit of an existential crisis, looking for answers, because my whole life before I had been apolitical, never into history, politics, all these things, and I needed to understand, why was it that the reality was so different to what I'd been told. I had all these ideas. I was told my whole life, get an education. The university is a place for education. Then you'll easily find work. If you work hard in the studies, then work will come easily, and so on and so on. And the reality started to hit me in the face like a brick wall, and so I was stuck, and I needed a way out. So then I found Marxism first, just basic Marxism through YouTube, and that led me to think, okay, I started studying. I read even a bit of Marx, a few texts, and I thought, okay, who is there? Is there any party, is there any group of people out there that is, that agrees with this and is trying to do something to change society in this way? Of course, I had heard before, about Soviet Union, Stalin's a monster, and all these things, living in Britain. So, funnily enough, I found this guy called the Finnish Bolshevik on YouTube. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
And of course, he is, standing up for Stalin and the USSR and so on. He made a lot of sense to me, but it was like jumping into the deep end of the pool. So I thought to myself, whoa, steady on, okay. Let's spend some time to study this, to try and find out what the truth is. And then it became a quest for truth. So I found some active Trotskyist group called Socialist Appeal, and I actually met with them and I joined them. Their line was...
At what time was that?
That was... I'm really bad with time. That was about 3 years ago. About 3 years ago. And so I joined that group, and I was going to study groups with them, reading Marxist texts, even Lenin. Trotskyists have different lines about Lenin. Some say that Lenin and Trotsky actually, after the revolution, became best buddies and got along and they're on the same page. Some say no, Lenin is wrong and Trotsky was right. So this particular party was favorable towards Lenin, but not towards Stalin. But because I had before had these ideas from the Finnish Bolsheviks,
Trotskyists are like that. They are against Stalin.
Yes, they have to be against Stalin.
Yeah.
And but because I had heard a bit of arguments defending Stalin, I was using the Trotskyist group to kind of learn, okay, what is the alternative perspective? So these guys are supposedly Marxist. Okay, good. Now, who was right? What happened really in history, right? Who was the good guy? Who was the bad guy? And so I was with them for about a year. And in that year, I read Trotsky. I studied their text. I followed their line. And I became more and more skeptical about what they were telling me. And thinking more and more like, this Trotsky guy, he makes no bloody sense. He sounds like an arrogant prick. Like, I read him and it's just like verbal diarrhea, someone who loves their own voice. It was just,
yeah.
the arrogance is just screaming through the pages. So I never liked reading him, and I told the people in the party I was in, I said, like, you know, this Trotsky, I'm not really learning anything from him. No matter how many times they explained the permanent revolution to me, I was like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, in reality, you know, the peasants were obviously vital. Russia was mostly peasants, and so of course they had to unite the working class and the peasants. The peasants in the end proved to not be reactionary, and also obviously you need socialism in one country, and I use the example that, you know, in the aeroplane they tell you put your own oxygen mask on first before you help the one next to you. And so it's a similar idea. If you want to spread socialism, first you need to consolidate it in your nation so that everyone's labor, all the taxes, all the effort of everyone is channeled in the right direction, and then you can use that force, you know, as a to spread socialism, to help socialism in other countries. And so I left the party. This also coincided actually with the 2019 election, where I was backing the Labour Party for that election, which they lost. And I mean, this is, I don't want to go too much into the detail of this, but this experience showed me that the Labour Party is a dud. It's never going to go anywhere for the working class. It's completely reactionary. And of course, the Trotskyist groups, all of them, their main line in Britain is support the Labour Party. And they have this tactic called entryism, which is they think that they can, from within the Labour Party, if we get enough people, you know, we can pressure it, we can push the party to become a socialist party. Of course, they've been trying that for decades and decades and decades. They've been trying it since World War II. It's always failed. So you have a bit of a contradiction. On one hand, if you're a Marxist, you're supposed to learn from experience. You're supposed to, you know, base yourself on real material conditions. All the real material conditions were saying one thing, and the Trotskyist party was saying the opposite. And so I realized that, you know, sorry guys, this is it's a bit of a cult. And then I was looking for, oh well, okay, are there people now who are following the right line, you know, who are saying, are there people who have been saying from before this warning about the Labour Party, that this is social democracy and that we should not be simply just voting Labour and doing this entryism. And then I found, I think the turning point was Harpal Bra and Zane Carpenter in a video from the Stalin Society, where they're talking about the British road to socialism and the Labour Party. And they talk about the history of the Labour Party, how it's founded by the Fabians and the Webbs, and how the whole thing is basically an imperialist project from the start. And I thought, wow, these guys really know something. And so I looked more into them, and yeah, it didn't take long, because I already had learned a lot before them. And so I joined them, the CPGB-ML. And then from there,
so these comrades that you found in this video, these people were in that party, or not?
Yes. Harpal Bra is the founder, one of the founders of the CPGB-ML. And the history of that party is they used to be part of the, I'm really bad with names, the Socialist Labour Party, I think. It was the Arthur Scargill's party, and I think it was in the 1980s. I may be wrong, I don't know the exact year, but they split. So Arthur Scargill had, you know, the guy was useful in the miners' strikes, but he some reactionary views. He was, for example, against North Korea, and they had disagreements on several key points, and they split. And the effort, the theoretical groundwork of, you know, reading the classics, going back to the basics of Marxism, and finding a way to apply them to Britain in the late 20th century, early 21st century, that Harpal was doing, and his party, where, you know, I was really impressed. I think that I learned so much from them, actually. In this last year that I've been with this party is when I've learned the most.
Okay.
I also started to read Stalin.
Okay, so you joined last year.
I joined, start of early 2020. Yeah.
Okay. And you are with this party now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what is your party doing, like, since you joined? What are your activities?
Yeah. So I joined kind of when the whole pandemic was kicking off. So the pandemic started more or less when I joined, and the party had just, let's say, co-launched what is now the Workers' Party of Britain, which is, you could think of it as the parliamentary wing of the Communist Party, right?
Okay.
The leader is George Galloway. He was a Labour MP who was kicked out by Tony Blair after the Iraq War. He's been consistently anti-imperialist, George, that is. You know, defending Palestine, he was against apartheid in South Africa. He was standing up for gay people before it was fashionable. So he's got the Stonewall Award because he was doing it in Parliament even when it was unpopular. And George himself has had a learning curve, you know, in this experience where, for his anti-imperialist views, he's been chased out of Labour. He's been sort of kicked out of different jobs. And in the end, he met, he found the CPGB-ML in the end, and we sort of jointly formed the Workers' Party. George has a quite vast network of friends within politics. He's very well known, and so as a face of the party, it's really useful. It's giving us a huge boost. Apart from the fact that he's a really fantastic orator. And,
okay, so I want to get back to what are the activities of the party since you joined?
So we're focusing on the Workers' Party at the moment. And the Workers' Party, what we have is we have channels on all social media platforms. So we are intervening in all kinds of current affairs. You know, demos, protests which are happening. If any important news topics come out, we will write about it on Twitter. We will share Facebook, Twitter, even TikTok now, Twitch. We have a party broadcast, or we used to have every Wednesday night on YouTube. We've got a big YouTube channel. George has a news program on RT. He also hosts Radio Sputnik on RT TV. So we have 3 hours. We have 3 hours every Sunday, and this gets it gets sometimes over 1 million views. So it's quite big. It's quite big. So we've got pretty good outreach, and we are also intervening in elections. So we are running candidates for council seats in local by-elections all across the country. We've got, in this first year, so from early 2020 to early 2021, we got more than 4,500 members in the party, and we're growing fast, and we want to grow even faster. And George himself he's a very keen political animal, so he smells an opportunity. He can smell blood like a shark from miles away, and he goes in for the strike. So for example, in the Scottish elections, he's created a Alliance for Unity, and this is a whole new political approach of tactical voting, where we try to create a broad front, Tories, Lib Dems, Labour, and Workers' Party, against the SNP, the Scottish Nationalist Party. And this Scottish Nationalist Party was founded by NAZIs, NAZI collaborators after World War II. So we want to really get them out in Scotland, because they're trying to separate Scotland from Britain. And what we're doing is we're trying to appeal to all the other parties, for example, Tories, Lib Dems, everyone else, and say, look, resisting this is more important than your flag or your particular party you happen to support. So join the Alliance for Unity, just to get this done, just to make sure that we achieve this political goal. And you don't have to agree on everything else. You can disagree on other things, but just get together for this, which I think is an important lesson for the British public, because people are being divided more and more, and you know, people are being boxed into different groups. So I'm Republican. I don't like the monarchy. So anyone who stands up or who defends the British monarchy, for example, oh, they're the devil, you know, and everything they say will be wrong, and I could never be on the same side of a picket line with them. When in reality, the majority of Britain, fortunately or unfortunately, I think, still supports the monarchy and still has this view. You know, so the working class in Britain is very divided. Many wave British flags, many have backwards views, and we cannot simply alienate them. We cannot alienate masses of workers based on any preconceived notion. And so we are undertaking the difficult task of sort of reinventing the media landscape in Britain, trying to raise the consciousness of the British working class and getting working class unity, and pushing out this identity politics, which is like a football team. You know, it's like I'm on this side, I'm on that side, and we can't talk to each other. You know, so we're doing that in action when we talk to people, when we're handing out leaflets in any event, and in our media output. Yeah. So I guess the main goal, what we're trying to achieve through all of our different efforts, is to show the British working class that we are here, and that this is how we do politics, and we don't bite. You can join us. We don't bite. We will not shout at you because you haven't read Marx, or because you have the wrong idea or anything like this. And in the experience that we've had in this last year, many of the, let's say, the best comrades that have joined, they have noticed that within the Workers' Party, the best comrades are in the CPGB-ML. And so they, through their own research, have found the CPGB-ML. So we're also kind of, through this project, it's helping to grow the CPGB-ML as well.
I see.
So the Workers' Party acts a bit like a recruiting pool, right? However, this is not our intention. We never, you know, we're not pushing it on anyone. We're not telling people about this. You know, a little bit, yeah, obviously. Obviously, when you're in the pub and having a pint with someone, you know, if they're open to these ideas, you can kind of tell them, like,
yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah,
but
just hope them.
yes, but officially, you know, we're not
for
we're
sure.
not doing that.
Okay, so ending the interview, what would you like to plug in, like self-promotion, anything?
All right, so I would say for media, you know, check out RT. I mean, I wouldn't agree with everything that is said on RT. Not everything is good, but it's a very good source of news. Check
RT,
out
which is what?
Russian TV.
Okay.
Russian TV.
Okay.
The green logo, just so that is RT. It's on YouTube. Radio Sputnik and Moat, the mother of all talk shows, on Sunday evenings is a good show. That's one thing. Then check out the Workers' Party of Britain, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. You know, the typical like and subscribe. If you're in Britain and you're working class, which probably are, definitely check us out. Get in touch. We're really friendly, and we need all the hands we can get. Also, if you know, I don't know what kind of audience we're looking at, but if you're a communist, then also please check out the CPGB-ML and look at our page and check out our literature. The party has produced some really useful, good pamphlets.
Okay. And the last thing, if somebody, you kind of touched on it already, but if somebody would like to join the Workers' Party or the or the Communist Party, how would they do that?
If you just Google Workers' Party of Britain, the page will come up, and you've got a section that says join. Or if you happen to find any of our leaflets flying around the country, we have a QR code that you can scan, and it will take you to that page where you just join.
Okay.
You can also, just the last bit, we have for example some petitions, like the Corona Tax petition. If you go to coronatax.org, you can just put your email address and sign the petition, and there's a few boxes you can tick, and you will receive our newsletter. So you'll get a weekly email with the latest activities we're doing, things you can join, news. We have study groups and this type of thing. We've actually got study groups at different levels as well. So we've got like beginner study group and advanced. All kinds of
important.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a whole world to discover.
Yes. A whole new world. Okay, so this concludes my interview with Max. I am Gabriel, and I'm signing off.